Hey guys, Free Beer Fridays. Just real quick, I gotta get my butt out and get to work because had a rain day yesterday. One report there was zero snow, so I didn't get to do my snowball test to see if there's any chemicals in our snowballs. Talking a little bit yesterday, Ethiopians Airlines that went down killed a lot of good people. Spent a lot of time yesterday. Sometimes it's funny. I spend so much time researching and reading, and I get a sense of futility just kind of comes over me. I'm like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Um, what we can do is hope somebody we research something and hope to pass it on to someone who didn't know. I guess that's good enough. One thing I do know, like I backed up yesterday, we talked about people feels like, oh, we're all alone. This is just what I see in the sky. How can nobody see this? No one believes this. They believe it all over the place and all over the world. People are trying to make a difference. This year, Switzerland, 10 different countries, they, in March, the plane that this plane was traveling to predominantly had a lot of people on there from the UN. I even looked to the UN sites and I could not really find a full list of every UN delegate that was killed in the crash. I can't find that. The UN site itself, they cover so many different plane crashes and tragedies, but and with very much detail. But that particular instance, there was very little detail. All they basically had was a flag raising ceremony, a flag lowering ceremony. Anyway, so Swiss had proposed and was going to bring in a resolution on governing geoengineering. It basically was just covering two things: solar radiation management and carbon dioxide removal, air capture. The U.S. Shut it down. I don't know if I have that tab up here. Here it is. The U.S. blocked it. I think Brazil actually initiated it, and then the U.S. and Saudi backed it up. I guess that's the number of votes they needed to have to bring it down. Reading through some stuff, I don't think it's on this site, but one of the problems that their concern was they lumped solar geoengineering and carbon capture into the same governing body. So that gave them, you know, in their eyes, a legitimacy to block that resolution. So it blocked, and it is no more. I come over here. Here's one thing. I'll put a link in this in the description. This is one of the earliest drafts I could find of the SCoPEx program that's directed by Harvard, Dr. David Keith. Um, so I check back into the Harvard site every now and again. I've corresponded with David Keith a little bit, but not anything. Never giving you a whole lot to chew on. Just vagueness, and that's what I think a lot of the concern is. There is so much vagueness on, solar generation, solar geoengineering research. And but I come over here to the Keith group all the time, who is the heads up SCoPEx, and I'd found shortly after that UN resolution was blocked and the plane went down, I came over here, which is usually a big SCoPEx page. Well, it had got moved over to here. It had got moved under the Coich research group, and did a lot of research on him. He's still tied down in here. This guy right here, Frank Coich, and looked a lot of his background. They still got Mr. David Keith, not exactly Doctor Death, but kind of Doctor Death. And I just thought it was very interesting where the SCoPEx was on the Keith Group site. Now it had been moved over here, and they so conveniently put in a SCoPEx governance. And it doesn't, I don't think it says it on here, but basically what Harvard wants to do is instead of turning governance over to the UN body, they want to keep it all under the IPCC. And if you studied the IPCC International Panel for Climate Change, if I'm saying that correct, they just have a very vague description of why, our planet is warming. So much of it they tie only to fossil fuel emissions, and people fight them constantly to allow them to, let's have this data too, like solar flares. Hey, how about we like factor that in? Hey, how about we factor in some effects of the sun, of the warming of the planet? Little by little, they are having to adapt some more data into their research. But anyway, so now it looks like Harvard is, they're just going to govern themselves. And this lady over here, Lisa Byrne, I did not do a background on her. I don't really know. Excuse me. But she's now the managing director of Harvard's Solar Geoengineering Research Program. She's got a degree political science, public policy. So it's basically taking this and trying, how do we shine this, project up to make it look as, nice as we can in the public's eyes. Um, David Keith, I think, he's not been removed from it, but he doesn't look like he's frontline guy now. The earliest I can see um, Keith and Coich together was this article on Nature from 2018. Yeah, November 2018. Coich has a background in, mainly his whole background is in atmospheric chemistry and physics. And so obviously they were working together on it, but it may be because Mr. David Keith, pretty much in a videotaped interview said geoengineering will kill people. Not a big gray area there. He said very clearly many tens of thousands of people will die. And so, not sure how that caused alarm in the global community. But anyway, and that's what it comes down to. And from when you look at weather modification all the way to the back, and I've got some more tabs and I don't have a lot of time right now. But since the very beginning of weather modification, the ethics of it have always been a concern. And what they do know, without a doubt, in weather modification, geoengineering, geoengineering is a very broad term. But what they know about, let's just talk about weather modification. If you make it rain somewhere, if you tamper with the weather in one location, it will affect the weather in another location. And there's not a whole lot of control there. They're trying to make clouds, and they don't even really have a true sense of how clouds exactly come to be in the first place. So yeah, we're tinkering with things we shouldn't be tinkering with. We have been for a long time. And anyway, I gotta go to work. Tonight, hopefully, we're having a full moon party. It looks like it's going to be clear. Get a little fire going. Hopefully, get a little music going. And yeah, you guys enjoy your day. Hopes people get some good shots out there. Look back, like I said, I'll drop some of these links up here. You can get a lot from here. The climate engineering assessment, which it's, nothing's perfect. And not everybody's telling the truth. So, but yeah, hope you guys enjoy this little bit. I'm definitely sitting on this, and there's a lot to look at, a lot to explore, and part of it is, just trying to figure out what we know. Just do your best to not let what you believe get in the way of the truth. And I see y'all.